All right, it is talk to me 10 time. Before I introduce our special guest today, which I'm so excited that he's on with us today, I just want to introduce myself. And for those who are new, we are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram. It's a little bootleg on Instagram, but we ain't gonna talk about that. And Facebook on my personal page and the business page. So, make sure you're tapped in somewhere because we want to, we want you to get into it like the little kids say, get into it. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Tandra Porter, and I am the CEO and Chief Vision Strategist of Cultivated Connections Design and Consulting, which is an educational consulting firm. I help educators cultivate healing, social awareness, and education through the arts. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So my special guest today is one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. Super
What it
awesome,
do? What it
amazing
do?
guy, educator, musician, all of the above. Like we had to make this happen. This Mr. Gionni Stylo. Can't wait for
What's up?
y'all to
What's
hear.
up with it? What up with it? What up, Tangy? What's up, baby?
What's up, bro? How you
Man,
doing?
man, listen, I'm happy to be here with you, sissy. Man, look, if y'all don't know, man, this is my sister for real, for real. Like she is married to you feel me, my frat brother, so that makes her blooded into the gang, gang. You dig?
Gang, gang.
Gang, gang.
Yes. So we had to make it happen for the family situation as well as, for the sake of the artists and artists who are educators or who have worked in the education system. So let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Go ahead and tell us who you are for those who don't know.
Well, my name is Tangeray Porter, number two out here. Nah, my name is Gianni Carr, and let's see, 10 years in the educational system, an MMPS, born and raised, native Nashvilleian. So I'm a unicorn out here in these streets. You know what I'm saying? And resident musician, songwriter, producer, and rapper. So we out here, recent graduate from the Tennessee State University 2 days ago. You feel me? Walked across that stage, got that master's in curriculum and planning and education technology. So we out here, man. We trying to do something.
Yes. So if you're in the comments, whether you're on IG or any of the other spaces, make sure you give Mr. Gianni a congrats because it's hard. It's hard to go back to school
Listen.
and be working full time at the same
Full
time.
time, you dig? Full time.
But wait, there's more. With the 4.0, I had to point that out. I had to go ahead and say
Yeah, man, it's crazy about that because I was God blessed me with this opportunity, and it was somebody very special, Dr. Melton, and she helped me get into this program. And I told her, I said, if I do this, I'm gonna get a 4.0. It's 4.0 or nothing. So it was a lot of sleepless nights, but you know what I'm saying, I represent something bigger than myself. So it was for the culture, it was for everybody that came before me that laid this foundation. So we had to go ahead and get that popping one time.
for sure, for sure. Well, I'm proud. I'm quite sure your fam, friends, yourself, everybody is proud.
Hey,
And I know the viewers are proud of you too, because hey, what other way to go than up, right?
man, listen,
So
we out here,
um
man.
Yeah, so you gave us a little bit about your background. You told us that you are a unicorn in Nashville, and
Yeah,
for
yeah.
those who don't know, Nashville is a growing city. I live
Super
here now,
growing.
but I am not a native Memphian, okay? So when
Hey,
he
but I'm
says he's a
901 too,
unicorn,
you feel me? Listen, 901. I went to University of Memphis. So listen, I'll tell anybody and everybody, I was born in Nashville, but I was raised into a man in the University of Memphis in Memphis at 901. So I was out there, South Memphis volunteering, George Washington Carver High School. I'm talking about used to get my hair cut off Valentine, North Memphis. So we was out there. Like we was in Memphis for real, for real. So shout out to the 901, man, for real. It's my
yeah,
second
shout
home.
out to the 901. That's
Yeah,
home for
yeah.
me, and then 615 became my home. So that's what he means about being a unicorn. Nashville's a transplant city. So
Hey.
it's hard to find somebody who was actually born here and who is still thriving here. Most people, just like we do back home, we tend to move away. So that's what he means by he's a unicorn. Also, you also mentioned that you have had 10 years of experience in the MNPS public schools, so that's Metro Nashville Public Schools. Can you mind sharing a little bit about that experience, that little background right there?
Absolutely. Well, I want to say thank you, Miss Yaya. I see your comment down there, so I appreciate you. But yeah, so it actually my story involved in education. Like it was never supposed to be. Like when I was senior at University of Memphis, I was SGA president. So I was poised to go straight to law school because after I graduated, I had got appointed by Governor Bredesen to the Tennessee Board of Regents. So I was on my way to law school. I wasn't even thinking about it. And then 2009 hit. My pops lost his job along with a lot of other people during that recession. So I moved back home and I started doing music. I was like, yeah, man. Like I started a semester at TSU, getting my MBA, and then I was like, man, I want to do this Kanye thing. I'm gonna drop out of grad school, right? And then I'm gonna just rap, rap, rap. So I did that, and I had a lot of success, but I ran out of money. So I looked into substitute teaching because it was always a passion of mine to work with kids. Like I said, when I was at the University of Memphis, I was volunteering at several different schools in Memphis. So I started substitute teaching, ran across one school, and the principal was like, "Yo, you should look into Nashville Teaching Fellows since you're so good in the classroom. Like, just go ahead and take that alternative route." So I looked into it, and that was back in 2012, 2013, and sky's been the limit. So once you get in and you see how special these babies are, like you can't get out. So it's one of those things. Once you jumped in, you in it for life.
Gotcha. Hello, Anika. So Anika says you were trying to dodge your calling.
Hey, real talk. I really was though, like, cause so many people had told me, like, yo, you would, when I was at the University of Memphis, they was like, you have this teacher spirit, like you have this thing, and you're gonna be in a classroom. And I remember vividly saying, I rebuke that in the name of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because I'm going to be an entertainer. Like I'm going to be on a stage getting my Grammy, right? Like I love music, but those people prayed over me and they spoke that into existence. And I had so many friends that was influential that would let me volunteer into their classroom. My homegirl, Dr. Adams, and just so many different people that immersed me in that environment. And once I got in there, and the more kids that I saw, the more that I wanted to be a part of the positive change. So it was a blessing from God, and I'm a better man because I was allowed to be inside the classroom and learn from each and every one of my scholars and their families.
Yes, yes. So I definitely have to agree with the teacher spirit. I was a freshman. I believe you were a senior. And you were doing the tour. It was the summer of
What?
2007.
Was you
Huh?
Frost Camp? Was it
I
like
did
a
not
was,
go to Frost Camp. I actually ended up getting a job. So I could not go to Frost Camp. But you were doing a tour. I want to say it was you, Therese, um,
Yup. Hey, good
Melvin. Y'all
people.
were doing a tour
Yes.
around campus. You didn't
Yes.
know me from Adam, but I remember y'all
Yo,
like
you
it
just
was
told me this. This is
yesterday.
the first time I'm hearing this, Tangy. For real. You just saved this? Like, did you try to just catch me
Nope,
off
it just
guard or
came
something?
out.
Man, listen. Listen.
Y'all did not know me from Adam, but the way y'all carried yourselves as students, as black men of character, it made such an impression on me. I'm like, wait, I want to be like them. I want to be a tour guide of University of Memphis. Like y'all
Listen.
inspired me as a new freshman, and y'all didn't know me at all. And that's why when you popped in, into our school, I was like, wait, face. I know that voice.
man.
And we've
Yo,
been
I'm a,
Facebook friends forever.
listen, I'm gonna keep it real with you. That actually right there, that story that you gave is my story, and so many other people's stories, man. And that's why Memphis is so special to me because it's listed as a PWI, but like when you get inside of the campus, it's actually a mini HBCU. And
It
just
is.
like you mentioned Therese and Melvin, man, some good dudes, man, good dudes. But there was people that influenced me. You know what I'm saying? Like Kimberly Jones, Latricia Adams, you know what I'm saying? Like my guy Jason, God rest his soul, man. But it was so many people that
Mm-hmm.
you saw and you were like, yo, I want to be like that guy. I want to be like Mario Brown when I grow up. So it was
Mm-hmm.
it's really a blessing just to hear that story because you have never told me that. And it's just blowing my mind that God comes full circle. Yeah. So it's that's dope.
Yes.
That's real dope.
Yeah, seeing y'all around campus, like y'all was so engaged in everything. Like if I didn't know anybody else, I knew Gianni, I knew Melvin, and I knew Therese. I knew
Hey,
y'all from the work that y'all did. Not necessarily because y'all was just popular on campus, but because of the work. And the I felt like y'all embodied the motto of, U of M, dream, think, do. Like y'all
hey.
did all of it. Which is a motto I still stand by to this day. And I do agree with him. It was a little mini HBCU once you got
Hey,
on campus.
once you got on,
PWI.
like those same people, like are still friends to this day, man, and they're all flourishing. We're all flourishing. So it's just
Yes,
really it's just good to see, man, just that positive black energy and that support system, man. It's great. It's great.
I agree. I agree. Well, I didn't mean to shock you with the story, but it happened.
Hey, look, PBI is the term now. Okay, I like that. I like
Okay,
that.
I didn't even know that.
Look,
Okay.
Miss Anika was like, you was dodging your calling. Yes, ma'am, I was. I was running that way, like that way. You did. I was gone, and then God was like, "Oh, you thought you was going somewhere? Let me go and reel you back in."
Yep, me too. Me too. I think most teachers have.
Hey,
Oh,
and that's real.
Miss Anika has graduated from Howard University, so
Hey, that's that.
she be
Look,
saying it
that's
with her
that.
chest.
That's the mecca. That's the mecca. And I tell you, man, like the reason TSU and this weekend was so important to me is because, like, I always wanted that HBCU experience. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
you see, people that go to HBCU, you see them talk about it, and it's something that I really, really wanted to experience. And I can honestly say, now that I am a Tennessee State Tiger, like that, it makes so much sense because it's just a whole different feel and a whole different environment, and just being surrounded by like black excellence and the history that
Mm,
when you step foot on that campus, like, yo, like since 1912, like bricks have been laid and I am laying my brick on top of the brick that somebody else laid so I can stand on these bricks, man. It's something so incredible. It's crazy.
yes, yes. Hey, Tamara. So Tamara, Irving, owner of TMI Design and Consulting. She is also a arts educator. So you got some
What's
artists in
up? What's
here.
up, Tamara? What's
Um,
popping? Come on here.
also a
Listen.
graduate of Howard University. So it's
What's
super
popping? What's up,
amazing.
Howard in the building?
Yeah.
Listen. Phi Beta Sigma fraternity was founded at Howard University. You feel me? So I got a special bond with y'all, man. I mess with y'all for real, for real.
Yes, yes. I'm gonna pop these comments up so you can see
Come
them.
on. Come on here. We out here for real.
We got cousins went to TSU.
Hey,
Astra. Oh, we're gonna have to do another live with the whole crew because
run it.
Restream allows you to have 10 people. It's a party.
Listen. Listen. Look, you got some very important company in these comments. I need to listen. I need to holler at one of y'all so I can get my weight up. I feel like I'm underqualified. You dig?
But
Underqualified to be in
you're
this conversation.
but you're not though. So thank you for sharing your story in regards to like your HBCU experience as well as like our University of Memphis experience. Just being around black excellence. But I'm gonna change gears just a little bit. So
Let's
in a
run it.
perfect world, what would education look like in your opinion?
This is an easy question to answer, man. Education will look like equity. Everybody would have the same playing field to be able to be successful. Like classrooms would be equipped with technology, teachers would be making six figures. Families would have everything that they needed, resources that they needed to be successful. Like when I envision education, like I envision a one stop shop. We are whatever the scholar and the family needs. If they need us to be a counselor, if they need us to be a father figure, a maternal figure, if they need us to be, give friendly advice, if the family needs, advice on like, financial literacy and resources, like we should be a one-stop shop, and everybody, regardless of your skin color or where your zip code is and what house you live in, you should
Mhm.
have access to the highest quality resources so that you determine how you compete, not your school or the brick and mortar or the resources inside of the school. It is you and your work ethic, and it should be fair across the board.
Amen. I have nothing left to say about that.
Hey, look, what's up, Ryan? Look, we got the GOAT teacher in the building. Look,
Ain't it though?
listen, what's up, Murphy Wilson? What's popping, Shawty? I was so happy when I seen her in the building today, man. My heart just jumped out of my chest, man. Like, look, is it
I
Tanja?
agree.
I ain't gonna cap with you, man. Like, look, Porter, it's teachers like you and Ryan, man. Like, y'all do not see y'all every day, man. Like teachers that
Aw.
put their whole heart and soul into this field, and it shows through how much your kids feel loved and how they feel safe and cared for, man. So I just want to take the time to shout out all the teachers of like a Miss Porter or Miss Wilson, just out here just giving these babies everything and more, man. Shout out to y'all, because y'all for real deal, man. Like y'all salute.
Oh, thank you for that compliment. I mean, the same thing goes for you. Like the kids look for you. Anybody see Mr. Carr? Anybody see Mr. Carr? I'm looking for Mr. Carr to tell him I made orange. So it's the same goes back to you, bro. We out here doing this thing, and who else to do it other than us, right?
Right.
Yes. I did on everything you said on like in a perfect world, what would education look like? I have nothing else to add to that because you just hit
Hey,
all the nails on the
let's get it.
head.
Let's get it.
So I'm going to take a little moment to read one of the reasons, many reasons as to why I invited Mr. Gionni to come on to our Talk to Me Tan live today. Other than the fact that he's one of my favorite people ever and he's an amazing artist, but I saw a post on his Instagram. Go ahead and shout out the Instagram for me
Yo,
before I
yo.
forget.
At Gianni Stylo Music. That's the music Instagram. So we really finna get that popping, because now that I'm done with grad school, man, I'm finna hop back in the studio. I got some stuff to say.
Yes, I'm ready to hear. So on the screen there, you'll see it. I'll leave it up there for a little while, and of course, we'll bop it back up throughout the live. So make sure you guys connect with Mr. Gianni Stylo Music at Gianni Stylo Music. It's the music
Right.
page. Dope artist, y'all. Dope artist. Like lyrics are straight poetry.
Listen, we out here,
So
man. We
I'm
out
gonna
here.
jump and read the synopsis of your research. So you guys have already heard his background. But I'm gonna read the whole thing. And if you see me looking off to the side, I'm just looking at the second screen, okay? So Gianni Carr is an educational technology graduate student, former, because he graduated Saturday
Out here,
at
out here.
TSU. What'd you say?
Say we out here, up out of there.
We out here at Tennessee State University with 10 years of experience in the Metro Nashville public school system, teaching sixth and seventh grade middle school life. Woo! Math
Yeah.
and science and songwriting. I really want to hear more about the songwriting piece. A blue ribbon award winning teacher. What? For being
Hey.
in top 1% educators in MNPS, which is Metro Nashville Public School system. His sixth grade math scholar scored the highest TN Ready state testing growth in Tennessee. So you be out here hiding secrets.
Nah, listen, this less of me and more of them, man. So if anybody gonna get that credit, man, it's them, because they put that work in, man. I was just a facilitator.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I agree with that. And I love how you mentioned the word facilitate. Let me write that down so we can run
Hey,
that back because
hey, we
that's
gonna get into it.
my favorite words. One of my favorite words. In addition, the U.S. Department of Education featured him in an article highlighting excellent STEM teachers. What? Let's continue reading. So, the native Nashvilleian is passionate about music production, songwriting, rapping in his spare time, participating with his fraternity, Phi Beta Sigma, which is, in my own household as well,
Hey,
and giving back to the community. One of his proudest moments is giving back what? in giving back was in 2009 when former Governor Phil Bredesen appointed him to serve as the student regent for the Tennessee Board of Regents. He represented 180,000 public college students across the state of Tennessee. And some of those things we kind of touched on. But the title of your work, I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is Teaching for Creativity Through Hip Hop Music.
Yeah, yeah,
What
that
does that
that that
mean?
pretty much encompasses it. We're teaching for creativity. We want to look at the lens from the intersectionality of neuroscience, teaching for creativity, and how music can create equitable opportunities for traditionally marginalized scholars and traditionally marginalized communities. So we just trying to, make those connections on why music and brain functionality can and teaching for creativity can set scholars up for success throughout their not only their K-12 careers but in their professional careers beyond.
Yeah, yeah. So, what was some of the, well, first, before I ask you what are some of the things you learned, but what was the inspiration behind this? Because it's always a moment, a thing.
So to be real, like the inspiration was my K-12 career. So you read off how my sixth graders, my babies had the highest math scores in the state of Tennessee on the TN Ready, and I think that was 2016. Um, that was with me being a teacher, but I failed math from essentially sixth grade through 11th grade because I didn't acclimate to the teaching methodologies that my teachers were using. We had a projector, we had a clear laminate paper that had a bottle of spray solution, and they were right on, the laminate projector with a Sharpie, and you had to copy the notes in your composition book,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then for
Mm-hmm.
homework in elementary, fifth, sixth grade elementary school, we had a Prentice Hall math book. You had to do the even problems for homework because the odd problems had the answers in the back of the book. So for somebody like me, I was hearing music in my head the entire time. And it wasn't that I didn't want to pay attention or I didn't want to learn. It was just my learning style was not conducive to what they were teaching me. And in my research, what really led up to this was when I discovered Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences. And he theorizes that, people fall into one of these non-intelligence categories. And one of those happened to be music. And it made so much sense for me. It made sense why I learned through rhythms, why I learned through melodies. And it just explained my brain function. So that was that, and the fact that I love songwriting and I love rapping and I love being able to take math lessons or an English lesson or a poetry lesson, and I'm able to present that information through music. You know, Scholars learn that way, and it's dope when you can actually meet them where they're at instead of in a perennialist or the essentialist philosophy of education. You want a scholar to sit behind their desk and you want them to work out of the book and work off this worksheet and you want to lecture them, right? Well, it's 2022. Like these babies got cell phones and technology and they can create a movie and edit it from their phone. So it's like you can't teach them using traditional philosophy. So the inspiration for that particular research topic is how do we meet scholars where they're at so that we can take the learning to them instead of trying to bring them to where we're at.
Woo! Oh, see, y'all see why I love him?
Right,
And like I needed to know the inspiration because I know you and I are a lot alike as educators, as creatives, as people. And your story was my it's pretty similar to my story. I did a live a few weeks ago about just like how arts integration changed my life because it's essentially what you're talking about. It's arts
right, right,
integration
right.
or methods of arts integration. And it was for that same reason. I sucked at math. I call it what it is.
Listen.
Even the students now, they be like, Miss Porter, can you help? No. If it's above kindergarten math, it's a no for me, dog. I don't want it.
Listen.
I don't want it, yo. So I shared this story previously, but I didn't get math in fourth grade. Fractions, hated it. But
Hey,
I didn't
same.
understand it until my cousin came up from Texas. They were visiting Memphis, and he's such a whiz, such a mathematician. And he sat down and drew circles on the paper, and I got it. It was at that moment where I was like, oh, I understand
Yeah,
what
yeah.
is being communicated to me right now. And
Yeah.
then, of course, growing up and learning more about my learning style, I realized I'm a very kinesthetic and visual learner. Most children
Absolutely.
are.
And that's one of the that's one of Howard Gardner's theories, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like kinesthetic learning styles, man, spatial. Like everybody has like their thing, right? And it's
Hmm.
interesting that you said I didn't get math until my cousin like came and drew a circle for me. I'm gonna be real with you. I didn't get math until I was teaching it because when I had to stay up, when I listen, I'm gonna be real. It's 12, 1 a.m. in the morning, and I'm sitting up here making a lesson about fractions, and I'm like learning this, and I'm like, how could I teach this to where I can understand it? And that's really why I had the success that I had inside of the classroom. A lot of people say, oh my God, you teach math, oh come teach high school. Couldn't do it. I wouldn't even set you up like that. I wouldn't even hold you like that, for real, for real. You know what I'm saying? Because I wouldn't be successful, and I wouldn't be successful for the babies, and they deserve somebody that can do that. So my success came from literally breaking a lesson down to its
Hmm.
most, reduced format, and then building it back up how I learned it. And we and my students, we learn together. And
Hmm.
I approached it from a standpoint. Yes, I'm a teacher, I'm in charge of culture, and I'm making sure that we're making good and responsible decisions, right? But
Right,
also
right.
is that we're learning this together. So every question that you have is never a bad question because it's something that I
Hmm.
can learn from. And if you ask me, Mr. Carr, there's this way that I did it, I'm gonna be like, hey, that's dope. Let me, matter of fact, I'm gonna show me that. I'm gonna do that next period in my next block
Yeah,
because if it worked for you, it can work for them. So I mean, it was
exactly.
truly what we call a constructivist mindset and philosophy where we're learning together. Everybody brings their individualized experiences and we put them in a gumbo pot and we all serve it instead of do as I say because I am
Hmm.
the one that's getting the paycheck and I have the degrees.
Yes, no, I agree with all that because I even now, for those of you who don't know my background in education, I've also been teaching for 10 years, 10 in the K-12 actual classroom setting. But I've taught kindergarten, I've taught sixth grade science and social studies,
Hmm.
and of course, most of you guys know me as a arts specialist or dance educator, which is my love. But I remember when I was teaching sixth grade science and social studies. The social studies part, I was like, oh yes, I love me some history.
Yeah,
But when
yeah.
it got to the science and trying to teach circuits and the moon phases and things like that, I was learning that with them because I don't even remember learning that in elementary
Moon
school
phase
or
is same. Listen, I taught sixth grade science. Same. Sissy, look, we are aligned. Come on, energy.
yes, we here. Yep. But it took me learning it, like you said, it took me learning the skill,
Hmm.
and then making it make sense for me. And legit, I had my arms out of like full moon,
Hmm.
new moon.
Yep.
I forget the other two.
A waning crescent, waxing crescent,
Yep,
waning
all
gibbon,
of that.
waxing gibbous. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's gone
Dig
now.
it.
But in that moment, like I had the scholars to literally stand up, and we were standing in a T shape. Your
Yeah,
arms are the new moon and the full moon. Your head and your feet are first quarter and third quarter.
yeah.
Then we broke into the what's that, Leonardo DiCaprio? Not Leonardo DiCaprio. Oh, I can't think of his name. The artist
Leonardo
right
da
now.
Vinci. The
Da
Leonardo da
Vinci.
Vinci.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
his little,
yeah.
his
It's human, the
I can't
human
even think of his
body.
name.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
human
yeah.
body. Yep. So when I get excited, I start forgetting stuff. But yeah, so they literally learned it by just moving their arms, even like just the definitions between revolution and rotation.
Absolutely.
Like that's spinning. It's movement. And when I tell you, because I had to do that to learn, and
Yeah,
then allowing them to do it, it was like, yo, this is why I love the arts.
for sure.
We separate the two all the time in the US educational system. We separate the two, and we shouldn't. If we really
Yeah.
want to see gains, let's put it together.
Well, I mean, you touch on something very important, sis, and it's something that you actually do very well with the kids, man. You bring your passion for dance and movement and art history, and you bring that to the classroom. And when you say that we typically try to separate the two, that's where everybody goes wrong. When you try to separate something that's inherently passion and inherently like a talent of our scholars, they're naturally talented. Like when you
Mm-hmm.
think about it, Gene Pageant. He was a famous philosopher. He talks about in its preoccupational stage is I
Mhm.
think of some 0 to 2, and then the occupational stages from like 3 to 7, right? Like kids have this natural creativity. They're
Yep.
learning through creative play. Like that's why, kids run around and have conversations with themselves, or, little
Mhm.
girls can take a coloring book, or Barbie dolls or makeup, and it can go for little girls or little boys too, or little boys will
Right.
have their GI Joes and Ninja Turtles, and little girls can have that too, and they're just making little wars, and making whole movies, but it's because they have this imaginative play,
Mhm.
right? Because that's how their brain
Right.
is wired. And when we get in school and try to separate that and take out their creativity, that's when their spark for learning is dimmed, right?
I
Like,
agree.
so we find that in the educational system, man, if you're not an excellent teacher, and furthermore, if you don't have excellent leadership that understands that you work on behalf of the teachers. I cannot stress
Mhm.
this enough. If you are in leadership and you have to catch a glimpse of this conversation, hear this. You work on behalf of your teachers, because if you are doing everything that they need you to do and supporting them in every way and giving them the opportunity to just teach and not throwing all the busy work on them, give them the opportunity
Mhm.
to teach. Your teachers, in part, will make your students' lives that much better, because they'll have the space to love them. Their cup will be full so that they can
Mhm.
care and do all the things that your scholars needs. But I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent, because that
No, you're good.
listen,
You're
that
good.
that
I'm
right
a
there,
firm believer.
sissy,
Go ahead.
like what you said, like when we try to separate art and passion and all of that from education, is where we start sending our kids down the wrong pathways, man. Because if they can't be creative in this space, this academic safe space, then they're gonna
Mhm.
find creativity elsewhere. And that's when
Yeah.
the real trouble starts, is when they leave us from the classroom and then they go to the
Mhm.
streets, or they go to social media and try to find what we should have been able to give them inside the classroom. So I
I
get real
agree.
passionate about that, sissy. I'm sorry about that.
I
Y'all
agree.
forgive me.
That's all right. This ain't gonna be the last time you hanging out with us.
Listen,
It's
y'all look,
not
she
gonna be the
gonna
last time.
they gonna bar me from this show. Be like, nah, he ain't coming back. Nah, we producer, executive producer, we ain't having him back. Listen, I'm sorry.
We're rebellious. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm a firm believer. Like, and I've if you watch any of my lives, I will say over and over, schools kill creativity. I'm gonna say it.
Mm,
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. Schools kill creativity. I won't say all schools, but a good majority.
man,
And it
listen.
starts early. It starts in the K-5 setting before
Yes.
it even gets to middle school. Even
Yes.
now, with kindergarten not having most kindergartens not even having nap time. Like let's start there. Not just because as a
Man,
former K
listen.
teacher, I needed a little moment of just peace and quiet. Not just talking about that piece, but a moment to rest the brain. Right? Like there's so much neuroscience behind that with
Man,
learning.
absolutely, absolutely. Matter of fact, it's so in depth now that there, research is actually suggesting that a 4 day school week and work week, along with delayed start time, man. Like the science tells us that the average brain of an adolescent child, isn't fully functional till about 9 or 10 o'clock. So we're having your high school students wake up at 6:15 and get to school at 7:15, and the first class that they got to take is geometry, algebra 2, trigonometry, and their
Yeah,
brain isn't
crazy.
even fully awake yet. And you wonder why you battle with so many cultural issues, and well, this kid was defined and all that. Well, they're not awake. Like, they didn't go to
Right.
bed until 10, 11, 12, and it wasn't because they didn't have good parents or anything like that. It's because their body physically isn't wired to shut down at 9 or 10 o'clock. Like, they're
Mhm.
growing. It's chemicals inside of their bodies that is changing their genetic makeup. So they can't fall asleep, which means that if you make them wake up early with a lack of sleep, yeah, you're going to have a few problems. I mean, let's be
Right.
real, you know?
Wait, like, does
So
that change as an adult? Cause I still be up.
listen.
I'm a night owl. I'm like night owl, and that's because I'm my most creative at night. Like if you
Same,
need me to create something, I'm up doing something. Ooh, best work time
same,
ever.
same,
You can ask
same.
Anika because we You be texting.
Listen, I'm looking at the TMI design, Anika. Listen, I need to be in y'all spaces, learning from y'all. What's up? Holla at me, because y'all look like y'all got the goods. Y'all look like y'all got all the information, and I need
I'll
that. Like,
connect you.
run me that.
I'll connect you. Just to give you a little shout out to my ladies over here. So, TMI
Oh,
Design and Consulting, which is Tamara, also a arts consultant. Anika specializing in SEL. So, hey, it's a whole
hey,
situation over
run
here.
it.
It's a
Let's
whole
get it.
vibe.
Let's get it. Listen,
Yes,
all about that.
gotta shout out my girls. Gotta shout out my girls. We're a team. Let's see.
Run it up.
Hold on, let me pop that one up. Yep. So, man, you just said a whole bunch that just like got my whole brain percolating.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
goodness. Oh my goodness. Because I too have fallen in love with just learning more about the brain, which has always
Yeah,
been
yeah,
very
yeah.
intriguing to me, even as a kid, learning about the human body and how it works. Due to my own, health issues growing up as a kid, it's like, oh, that's what that's supposed to do.
Yeah,
Cool beans.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I would legit say my interest in the brain started, and y'all about to get some vulnerability in this moment.
Yeah.
My interest in the brain really started when my cousin got shot in
Mm,
2011, I believe. And to know that he was shot twice here and
mm,
still survived with all his like brain thoughts, everything still intact, other than a little bit of stuttering, and some speaking delays in a sense. It
mhm,
made me so intriguing. Mind you, I was intrigued a little bit before then, but I was like really intrigued of like you've had this traumatic brain injury, yet if you didn't
mm.
know, you wouldn't know, other than
Yeah, yeah,
his
yeah, yeah,
physical change, right? So
yeah,
I was studying and all that. I was like, oh, the brain actually heals itself. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
wow.
It's just
Like, how do you
it's
go from brain dead to
it's a whole
not?
computer. Like it's the
Right.
most powerful, computing machine that we'll ever encounter. Like it's amazing what the brain can do, man. For real, for real.
Yes, it's fabulous. And even learning more about like how um culturally responsive teaching, if we want to get into that buzzword, and
Mm,
how that correlates with the brain. And that's another conversation for another day. Cultural responsive
yeah.
teaching is SEL.
Yeah, I mean, and I
It's
was
key.
literally about to say that. I was like, culturally responsive teaching is literally social emotional learning, because like you're encompassing things from, you know, everybody's culture that makes them feel safe, welcome,
Mhm.
invited, and it makes them feel like they're a part of the class rather than a part of the class. So, like
Agree.
that's the foundation of any successful learning environment is safety. Can I be
Mm-hmm.
myself? Do I believe that I have something to offer to the conversation? And can I be accountable not only for myself, but more importantly, do I feel like I'm accountable for the success of my classmates and my peers and my teacher?
Mm.
When you have that shared accountability and responsibility, that's when you have the best classroom environments. Because I've seen environments where you have that one or two of those three kids that's gonna sit in the corner and they're gonna make sure that they get their A's, right? Like they gonna make
Mm-hmm.
sure that they get their 4.0. But the best classroom environments happen when everybody is accountable for everybody else's success. So not only is that kid that was sitting in the corner getting that 4.0 no longer sitting in the corner, they're sitting in the middle of the table. Why? Because I can look to my left and look to my right, and I can help everybody
Mm-hmm.
around me. And not only that, I can receive help from everybody around me, because just because I feel like that I can get their 4.0, I also know that there are other people that bring experiences and learning to the table that I can
Right.
benefit from as well. So I mean, it's
Right.
listen, it gets deep, Shawty. It gets for real deal deep, and I education is my thing. It's my jam.
Yes, it sounds like we're gonna have us a series. We'll get back to
Man,
y'all on
listen,
that.
listen. Let's run it. Let's run it.
Yes. If you guys are just tuning in, Gionni and I are talking about creativity and the intersectionalities really between creativity and learning. Just to give you a synopsis there. Make
Hey,
sure you guys link up with him on Gionni Stylo Music on IG. Okay, I had to pop that back up there because
yeah, yeah. I
speaking,
appreciate
dropping
that.
some
Look,
gems.
I'm learning how to use that. Listen, I'm learning how to use Insta a little bit more every day. Like I'm not really a a social media guy, and that's actually surprisingly is like, yo, you have to be on social media and learn how to utilize it if you're gonna get out here and do this music. And I'm just like, man, listen, I just want to be low key. I just want to make good music and let the people vibe to it, man. Like I ain't even trying to get famous or do all that posting, man. Like I'm just trying to, give the people what they deserve, which is some good wholesome music that you can vibe to, man, that doesn't lack the beats that you love or the transitions that you love or that energy, man. Say it without,
Yes.
having all that vulgar language and degrading our black women or degrading our black men or our culture, man. Like I just want to say it a different way, man, for real.
I'm here for it. I am here for it because I love your music. Like it's a
I
whole
appreciate
vibe.
that. I appreciate that.
Yes. All right. So we're gonna keep it moving. We kind of touched on the next question I had for you about what new things that you learn about with the intersectionality of music slash the arts, neuroscience, and teaching and creativity. Is there
Yeah, yeah.
anything else you wanted to share about that piece? Because
I
we kind of
mean, um, so it took me a while to understand the difference between teaching for creativity and creatively teaching, right?
mm,
And I think it's they're easy to get confused, right? Because I think back to my pedagogy and I think about how I was in my classroom and I was like every day my icebreaker was the same, but it was different. So
mm,
I had a running joke with my kids that I was married to Beyonce. Had a picture cut out of my head on Jay-Z's body, and it was me and Beyonce, And I had one of my students, one of my former students was named Beyonce, and I had her saved in my phone, but they're spelled the same. They spelled the name the same, right? So I was like, show them the number and all this, that, and the third. They're like, you're not married to Beyonce. I'm like, prove it, right? And what I was doing was creatively teaching, right? Because
mm,
my creative teaching mechanism was this is how I'm going to get everybody from different cultures, different backgrounds to unite. You
mm,
all know that I'm not married to Beyonce. Like, you know it,
mm,
but can you prove it? Like, can you prove it? And what I was doing was mixing those principles in there. Like, where's your proof? Like citations. Like,
mm,
show me your evidence, right? So I was creatively teaching by bringing them together, but what I found is teaching for creativity is different, right? Like teaching for
mm,
creativity is more about the behaviors and the attitudes that you instill in your scholars. It's about unlocking their passion and having them to be autonomous. The best, teaching for creativity examples that I can give you is that if you're doing it correctly, then you are not really the leader of the classroom. You're
mm,
just a facilitator, right? Like you're setting your scholars up on the front end for success. Like you're front loading them with information and resources, and more importantly, how to use that information and how to find those resources. Because the best tool that you can give your scholars is understanding what each technology resource does. So, what's the difference between PowerPoint,
mm,
Excel, a Google Sheet, a Google Doc? Like, what are all of these resources and why do I need them? And when you
mm,
explain that piece to them, you go back and then you give them a problem and you let them figure out what resources and tools they want to use to solve it, right? So
mm,
yes, I see a gradual release. Yeah, that's a big one, and that actually goes with scaffolding. So Lev Vygotsky's
mm,
zone, his philosophy, Lev Vygotsky's zone of proximal development, right? That's where we
mm,
get scaffolding in the gradual release at, right? Because you're using this constructivist philosophy that everybody has something to bring to the table. So when you know A and I know B and she knows C and he learns D, then we can come together and become the alphabet boys and the alphabet girls and the
right.
alphabet people, right? So that really is the big difference. So when you teach for creativity, you're stepping out of the way and you're letting your
Mm,
scholars lead the way and you're giving them continuous feedback. You have to give
mm,
them continuous feedback because they need to know that hey, it's okay to take a leap and to jump out here and
yes.
to be fearless in my learning. Like I want to try this thing and I am not afraid to try this thing and fail. And that's what you're doing when you're teaching for creativity. You're like, it's okay to fail because if you
Mm,
fail, that means you tried something courageous. And I applaud
yep.
you for that. So I'm not going to give you a letter grade or a F or a D. What I'm going to give you is the feedback on how to
Mhm.
take this, I don't want to call it a failure, but how to take this opportunity to
Mhm.
improve the learning so that you can do it better next time. And it's deep, and I love it, man, because it speaks to so many different learning styles. Because what we commonly want to do in the classroom is we want to give everybody a worksheet, want to give everybody the same amount of time, we want to give
Mhm.
everybody the same set of instructions, and we may differentiate one or two, but we want to
Mhm.
generalize. And it's like, no, every scholar is different. They learn
Exactly.
different. They have different passions and different interests and different backgrounds and different experiences. So I need to
Exactly.
treat every scholar as an individual because they are individually unique and they deserve that.
Yes. Ooh. Anybody got a collection plate?
Man, listen.
Cause it's like we're just leaving it out here at the altar today.
Hey, run it up. Let's get it, man. That's what we
Cause
here for.
woo, you just said again. You just said a mouthful, and all of it was amazing and dope and true. I love the word facilitator, and I truly did not understand it until I got back into the arts. I
Hmm.
started with the arts, sixth grade, kindergarten, back in the
Yeah,
arts,
yeah,
and I
yeah, yeah,
didn't
yeah.
understand it until I got back into the arts, where I realized it's not my job. I mean, it's my job to teach you, right? But it's not my job to do the heavy lifting for you.
Hmm.
No, let's be creative. Let you learn, baby. Just learn and explore. That's been a shift in my own personal curriculum the past
Right,
2.5 years of I wanted to make sure students knew how to collaborate. Let's
right,
just
right,
start
right.
there. But how do we make that work with the
Yeah, I
classroom
saw
side?
that. That's a real dope question.
Mm,
And for
speak on it.
me, listen, for me, it all goes back to um the mission and vision of the school and
Mm,
the leadership structure and philosophy, man. Like um what I found, throughout this graduate program at TSU is we love to throw around the word curriculum, like curriculum, curriculum, curriculum. Like I'm using this curriculum and da 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 and whoop that in the third, right? And then it wasn't until I got into this program that I learned like curriculum is a very abstract word, right? Like,
is
so
yes.
what do you mean when you say curriculum? Because your mission and vision needs to be aligned with your curriculum, and your curriculum needs to be based on a tried and true model, which there's
Yes.
there's there's really three primary models, Tabitha, Tyler, and Olivia, right? And they're all, they all are built differently. But like, how do you make this work inside of the classroom? Is you have teachers that their only job is to teach,
Mhm.
period. Period.
Period.
Like, if
Period.
I give you a class size of 15 to 20 and you stay with those 15 to 20, and I don't
Mhm.
just pile them on, and I have a structure to where I can spread the scholars out and have a co-teaching model, and my teachers have the same schedule daily, and they have the same responsibilities daily, and they have time to plan daily, then this is really doable, especially if I equip
Mhm.
you with the technology resources that you need so that you can
Right.
automate some of the things that you are using your
Woo.
manual time and labor for. Right? Like, if I take the money that I'm getting for my school, and instead of spending it on $100,000, $200,000 curriculum that I don't know anything about, but Joe Blow just told me, hey, this is what I used and I got the scores. All right, and I'm gonna try it. Well, back up here. What are you going to have to do when you get that new curriculum? Professional
Learn
development. And we're going to front
it.
load 2-3 weeks of training, professional development on a curriculum that we're going to use for half a year and throughout, when those same 2 to 3 weeks could have been used for teachers to plan for their scholars, get to know
Mhm.
their families, familiarize themselves with their lessons, practice though. And it really is just a reallocation of the same amount of time. We get 24
Mhm.
hours in a day, no matter how you use it. So what we need to do to answer Ryan's question, because that's a dope question, right? Like,
Mhm.
how do we implement it with the class sizes? It all goes back to how we utilize our time. And if we use
Mhm.
our time more efficiently and effectively, we can get everything done.
It
Everything
it
done.
goes back to me like autonomy. Like
Right.
everything you explained, it went straight to the word autonomy for
Right,
me.
right, right.
Um, as a person that has always had large classes, I excelled my best. Even I'm going back to sixth grade thing. I had 36 scholars in there, but we were
Same.
able to. I was able
38.
to teach them how to, learn about Siddhartha or Buddha. We learned about him. We learned about like the moon phases and all that through arts integration because I
Yeah.
had the autonomy to
Right.
do what I needed
Right.
to do, how I needed to do it, in whatever way I needed to do, as long as the scholars met the goal.
And that's built on trust, sissy, because like,
Yep.
oftentimes, everybody wants to put the brunt of it on like, well, the teacher needs to do this, the teacher needs to do that, the teacher needs to do this. Let me newsflash, the teacher needs to teach, right? Like that's
Mm-hmm.
what we do. We need to teach. But we can't teach if every day something is changing. Every
Mm-hmm.
day we're getting more work thrusted on us. Every day we have to do something new. Every day there's a shift in the schedule. Like it really goes back to leadership. And it's like, I know that's not a true direct answer to like, how do we do it? But you got to have leadership that understands what the goal is. And if we don't
Mm-hmm.
know what the finish line is, the post is going to keep moving. And
Mm-hmm.
you'll find, and it's sad to say, but you can look at the scores, the TN ready scores, especially for our MNPS district, man. Like when you see that how many schools are less than 5% proficient in advanced in math and
Woo.
ELA, and the kids that go to those schools look like us. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how can anybody sleep at night? Like, a lot of people getting these, a lot of these principals and assistant principals, and I don't want to make it go like seem like I'm just going at leadership, right? Like I don't have a vendetta against
No.
leadership, but I have
Right.
experience, right? Like I've worked at several different schools, and the
Right.
commonality that I've seen at the schools and throughout my research with science to back it is teachers
Mm-hmm.
get burnt out not because they don't like the job, not because they don't like teaching scholars and loving on their babies. They get burnt out and leave the profession because they feel like they're undervalued, they're
Mm-hmm.
overworked, they're underpaid
Mm-hmm.
and underappreciated, period.
All that. Period poo, like the kids say. Period poo. All of that. Everything you just said, the burnout is real. Yeah, we definitely gonna have you back on to talk about all this. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Listen, that I'm gonna be real. That's how I got my master's, sissy. Like the story. It's crazy how I got into TSU. Like I was teaching at a school, and I had taught seventh grade math virtually during
Mm-hmm.
the pandemic. So imagine trying to teach anything through Zoom, especially math, where you have to actually assess their work, and they have using their mouse as the pencil, right?
Yeah.
But
Ooh,
I was
that's a.
burnt out, sissy. I was burnt out, and I was like, man, listen, I'm done. Like I'm gonna still work with the kids, and I'm a volunteer, but I'm done with this profession. So I channeled my frustration into my music, and I made a song called "That Educated Life," and I made it because it
Mm,
was Teacher Appreciation Week, and I said, you know what, the teachers need a voice. Like everybody to know what we do. Like taking roll, teaching class, check your email, check your Slack. You know what I'm saying? Like you feel me? Like it was a lot. And that video, when it was being edited at my frat brother's house, Thomas Melton, I didn't know his wife was, Dr. Robbie Melton. She walked in the room and she said, hey, that's really good. Where'd you get your master's at? And I said, I don't have one. She said, email me. We're
mm,
going to change that. And 48 hours
mm.
ago, we changed that, right? Because I was
Yes.
burnt out, ready to leave the field because I
Mm-hmm.
had it. Right. And it's real because there's so many good teachers. Like, Ryan's on here, you're on here. I can name off so many quality teachers that we work with at our job, that I've worked with at several different jobs and around the world. People that signed up for the right reason, not because they wanted to get rich, because you ain't gonna get rich in this profession. Not
No.
because they wanted to have people like, oh, you got your summers off, you got your Christmas break and winter break. I'm sorry. We have to do
I'm
close
sleep.
out. We have to do, grade papers. We have to plan lessons for when we come back. Like it's not just you get to sign off. No, you have to stress out about what am I doing when I get back. And there's
Yes.
so many quality teachers that do it for the right reason and love these
Mm-hmm.
babies that leave. And the silent, cancer that nobody talks about is when a child trusts their teacher and loves their
Mm,
teacher. I love Miss Wilson. She's my favorite teacher ever. I love Mr. Carr. I love Miss Porter. I love Miss Subab, my favorite teacher ever. And then Subab walks away, and that child never knows why. All they know is
mm-hmm.
that That was my favorite teacher. And every time I form a relationship and I start to trust the teacher, they leave and then they shut down.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody ever
Yep.
talks about that in Sissy.
Or
And that's
address it.
and that's why teacher turnover, and we have a national teaching crisis right now. That's
Mm-hmm.
why this is really a problem. Not so much because you ain't gonna find the teachers, but it's because the scholars that deserve those special relationships with the people that can do it, they saying nah, because I preserve my sanity over breaking down every day.
Everything you just said.
And what a choice that we have to make, right, sissy? Whether you have to
Yeah.
choose, be selfish and choose your sanity and your
Mm-hmm.
personal feelings and your personal goals because you are not allowed to be a human being because you chose to do the Lord's work and educate the youth.
Amen. Amen. All of that. And that's just I think about all the teachers that I know personally outside of the four walls of my own school
Right,
right now. A former classmate of mine from high school, he is also a teacher, and he posted a post of like, I just gotta go. And to see all of the other fellow teachers, that's, some of them we have mutual friends, right? I'm ready to go too. I'm ready. And these are teachers that I'm like, I know you were a darn good teacher. I know you
right.
in there doing what it
Some of the
do.
best
The
of the
kids
best.
love you. And yo, y'all, you about to leave? But I get it. I get it. So
Some of the
yeah.
best of the best, man. Like and our
Hmm.
kids and our kids are the ones that suffer, man. And I've come to terms that, like you can leave and be okay because in your heart you did it for the right reasons, and once you're a teacher you're always a teacher. So just because you're
Hmm.
not in the classroom doesn't mean you stop educating. You can
Exactly.
educate and have even greater success and be, more strategic about how you educate scholars when you leave the classroom, because there are other mechanisms other than brick and mortar than
Hmm.
to educating scholars, like being a role model, being a successful businesswoman, being a successful doctor or astronaut. All of those things are education. Why? Because I can tell you about my journey and I can stray you away from the
Hmm.
potholes that I fell into so you can avoid them and be better than me. So like, to any teacher that ever hears this, don't feel like that you trapped, man. Like, you are not trapped.
You're
Live
trapped.
for you because everybody else is living for them, and live for you, and God will still shine your light through who he meant you to be and who he built you to be, whether or not
Exactly.
that's in the classroom.
Exactly. Whew. Yep. Because that's it. That's the if I can be transparent, I don't care who watching. That's how I feel. That's the space that I'm in myself at, and that's the reason why Cultivated Connections was launched. Of like, I've gone through this journey. I always say trust the detour. I've gone through this detour, and it's been a beautiful, enriching journey. Right. My dream originally going into graduating from U of M was to teach dance in a K-12 setting with children that look like me or grew up like me. I've met that goal. I've met that dream.
Yeah. And you didn't look, sissy, man. I need y'all to see. I need y'all to see something, man. Like, man, my sissy doing it big, and I ain't talking about like 6.5 million followers or anything like that. Like, a lot of times we try to measure somebody's success based on like their social status, man. Let me tell you, like, what my sissy is doing, man. Like, she is living through her purpose. And when you live through your purpose, there is no greater fulfillment. There is no greater way to say job well done. So man, I want to pay homage to you, man, because like it's inspirational for me to see you doing this. And it's like, man, look, I got to get back to my passion, which is music, man. So like, I applaud you and pay homage to you, sissy, man, because you jumped off that porch and jumped into that water, man, and not only did you not drown, but you cruising on a yacht, shout it. You feel me? Like
Trying.
you cruising, shout it. So kudos to you and everybody else that's on this call, man. Like, I see some very powerful people that have a lot of great things to say, man. So I appreciate all of you all, man, just for being your authentic selves. Because people like me, man, I learn best from people like you all. When I see you all doing the great things and I can get to take notes and, steal this and steal that and add it my little twist on it, man. Like, so just homage, man, because there is nothing greater in this world than a black queen. And that's facts.
Oh,
Big,
thank you.
unadulterated
Thank
facts.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You inspire me as well. Like the visions that you be having, the conversations that you be speaking. like we can talk all day. We're gonna be here all night. Just because like this is us. We vibe all the
Hey,
time. We chat about all kind of things. So like I'm excited about seeing you walk into this next chapter, getting back to your passion. That's why, I'm always like, so when's the new music?
hey, I got a
But of course
lot
I understand getting
to
the,
say,
the degree
sissy.
out the way.
I am coming for this Grammy, and it's gonna catch everybody by surprise because I don't do no whole
Yes.
lot of talking, Shawty. Listen, I don't do a whole lot of talking, but listen, I got a lot to say, man, about a lot of different things, and man, I just want to use that platform to heal the community. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
it's enough about gang, and shoot this and bullet that and thought
Mm,
this and twerk this and cash this and smoke this. Man, it's enough music about that to where it can fill
right.
10 million libraries, man. But how much music do you actually hear about, man? This is the pathway to college. This is where you don't even have to go to college. If you want to get a trade and you want to just, you know what I'm saying, be an entrepreneur, like this is the pathway to that, man. This is, how much music is talking about our ancestors and the history of why it's important that you go to school and go to class every day because somebody died for you to have that opportunity.
Mm,
But we so busy on Instagram and TikTok and wasting all our
mm-hmm,
time on platforms that we are making somebody else money by using their
mm-hmm.
platforms. And it's like, what are we doing for ourselves, for our community, for our future generations? And it's just sad, man. And I'm coming on this microphone, sissy, and I'm taking no prisoners. So if you ain't talking
Yes.
about nothing on this microphone, I don't care how much money you got, who you plugged in with, it's a target on your head because we gonna stop putting all this junk into our kids' ears, man, and we gonna start filling it with the stuff they need to be able to, to really stand for what the culture was built on, man. For real.
Yes. I'm excited to hear about it. I don't even have to ask the next question because you just said it. What's next? You already just
Yo,
mentioned it. So,
the
you
music.
guys, like, I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. If you've enjoyed this conversation, go ahead and drop some fire in the chat. Nope, not the fire, the microphone. Drop the microphone in the chat for Mr. Gionni Stylo
Hey,
Music. Go ahead and drop the microphone in the
hey.
chat. This
What's
was
going on? Carell,
amazing.
what's popping? I see you out here in the chats. What's popping?
Yes, and my sis right there, STEM Life. So make sure you follow her too at I am STEM too on Instagram, like STEM Life. My crew is amazing, yo.
Man, you
We're
got the
pulling you on to this
juice,
village.
man. Y'all for real got the juice. I'm trying to figure out how I get in. Is it a membership application or like how many cool points do you gotta have to be able to hang with y'all, man? Because I'm trying to get down. What I gotta do, Shawty?
You already here. We just gotta pull you on in a little
Man,
closer.
I'm
That's it.
trying to get down with the kid down because y'all so VIP out here, man. I'm just trying to get where y'all at for real.
We got you. We got you. Y'all make sure. Oh, hold on. We got one more comment.
Oh,
There
come
you go.
on, Frat. Hey, Sora, what it do? What's popping? Listen, I'm gonna tell you that's look, I know we gotta get off here, but man, look, my Soros is 85 by the sorority incorporated, man. Like, I'm gonna be real. Like, it was a point in time before I got into grad school, when I was teaching where I was really depressed, man. And I'm actually cool with
Mm.
talking about this, man. I went through a very depressed state because I was working in my classroom to 2 to 3 a.m. in the morning. I remember one
Woo.
Saturday morning the janitor thought I was homeless because I was in the building at 3 a.m. on a Saturday morning grading summatives. And I had so much of myself inside of my classroom that I had got away from my music. And it was my Soros is 85 Beta that kept me in the game because I was able to speak at their national boules and in New Orleans and in Orlando, Florida. So that gave me that, motivation to keep going. And then I was able to write their national centennial song, So Sweet Anthem. And that really put me back in the game, sissy. Like if it wasn't for Zeta Phi
Yes.
Beta, I'm gonna be real. I wouldn't even be sitting here right now. I'd be somewhere else, man. So shout out to them, man, because they held me down when I couldn't even hold myself down. So that's why I say nothing greater than a black queen for real.
Man, it's the village for me.
Listen,
Across the board, it's the village for me.
listen,
Yes, yes. Oh, hold on, we got some more. She said yes, and I can hear her voice saying this. So if
listen.
y'all haven't had a chance to meet Carell and Gianni, I'm gonna make sure I, you know, make that happen. Because two amazing people. I would love for y'all to, link up and chat, as well as all the rest of the people that you've been chatting with today.
for
Y'all, we're
sure.
gonna end it tonight, but he gonna be back. He gonna be back
Hey,
because we didn't talked about teaching for creativity and creative teaching. We talked about facilitation, autonomy, imagination. I had my paper. Multiple intelligence, brain function,
hey,
all the things. And burnout, like you just mentioned burnout and depression and all that. And that's something I really want to talk about. Uh Share my own experience, your experience, other people's experience. So we definitely will be scheduling another one, especially from the lens of an educator
yeah,
who
yeah,
has create a creative artistry outside of
yeah, yeah.
education and losing that. So yeah, we're gonna rap about that. So everybody, again, make sure you guys link up. That's the IG,
Hey,
and
I
we will see
appreciate
y'all
you.
next
It was so
time.
much
I'm
fun. I
gonna end the
appreciate
live.
y'all.
All right, stay right there.